We are so afraid
Mm.
to try something new.
Mhm.
We second guess ourselves. We question things. We're afraid others may think, "Oh, that's so weird. Why are you doing that?"
Mm.
And what I have, this is who I've always been since
Mhm.
I've been a child. I recognize that I'm unique. I am different. I recognize that I have been placed on this planet for a specific purpose.
You know, when we talk about failure, right? Like you said, failure is a good thing, it's an opportunity to learn, right? I immediately even thought about how much time wasted, how much effort and money and things wasted. But it sounds like when you have a vision, it would, in a way, reduce the amount of wasted efforts and in money and all the things because you have a clear path, something that you're aiming towards.
There was opportunity to better categorize the services that I offer so that I could track and really see what is it that clients saw most valuable and more meaningful and focus on that and use that to guide, when I'm out networking and talking or even the social media content. And so, most people, there has to be having that foundation because then that you build on that and that's how the other things develop, especially as it relates to marketing.
Welcome to another episode of the Own Your Brand Show. I am really excited today because I have a wonderful guest with me. Look, if you're ever wondering about how to have a clear vision and how having a clear vision and a mission can help your business and turn it into a powerhouse, then you really want to listen to this episode because I am chatting with Deondra Wardell. She is a minority and small business, women-owned certified small business that focuses on strategic planning, executive coaching, and building an inclusive culture. Look, this woman told me before we started, she said, what I envision my business being this year, when she did that last year, she has surpassed that. And I think that's something to say for having a clear vision and strategic visioning too. So without much ado, I really wanted to have this conversation with you about why having coaching is crucial for leadership, as well as having an effective visioning is important. So without much ado, let's get into it. How are you doing today?
I am doing well. Thank you for having me on your show, Victoria. This is such an honor.
Look, first of all, I have to mention that your crown, which is amazing, and the pink, I'm loving it. Tell us a little bit about the crown. Let's just start there.
Okay, so with the crown, I'll share the condensed story about the crown.
Okay.
So I started wearing the crown as in my sorority, we celebrate milestone years.
Mm-hmm.
So when you reach 25, 50, 65, 75 years in the sorority, at our conferences, we celebrate with these jeweled events. We'll have a special luncheon or what have you.
Uh-huh.
So last year marked 25 years of membership in the sorority. So that's called, a silver celebration. So I decided, for a number of reasons, that I would not just wear the crown for the one luncheon celebration.
Mm-hmm.
I decided that I was going to wear a crown every year. Part of it is, it was just guidance I received from the universe. This is something I should do.
Yes.
Secondly, a sorority sister who I'm really close to passed away from breast cancer a few months before her silver celebration. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to wear the crown in honor of the memory of my dear sister, Dr. Shawana Connor Buchanan. And then I love sparkle. I love bling.
It looks good on you.
Yes, I mean, goodness. And so I started wearing the crown every day, everywhere I went, to the gym, grocery, church. I even have a sleep crown.
Wow.
And at the end of the year, the marketing team I was working with said, it's the end of the year. What are you going to do about wearing the crowns? It's now part of your brand.
It is.
We recommend you should wear your crown, continue wearing it. And I said, say less. Who doesn't wear a crown every day?
Yes.
And so, but the other part of it too, especially with what I do in working with leaders and helping them to see, the responsibility of leadership. Oftentimes you hear the expression, heavy is the head that wears the crown. And then not only that, what the work I do with women's empowerment to remind women that we are all queens. And then in leadership, you know, being a leader is having a calling. And so some of the conversations that the crown sparks with perfect strangers, and I have an opportunity to encourage them and pour into them and remind them of the royalty that they have within. So it's so much fun. Not only is it a great fashion statement and I enjoy wearing them, it gives me an opportunity to share and uplift someone else, to remind them of the crown that they're wearing, although their crown may not be as visible as mine.
Yeah. Plus, you know, I photographed you, and I know you have a ton of different crowns and shapes and sizes. So how many do you have? And I know your collection has increased since the time that we talked.
Yes. So here's the thing. People are now gifting me crowns. So it's not just all on me. I have over 100 crowns.
Wow.
Of all sizes, from the really small tiara crowns to the big HBCU crown. My tallest crown is 11 inches.
Wow, that is incredible. That's amazing. And I love the fact that, I know we talked about this a little bit before, you know, you're kind of like an introvert, right? So, but it's become your brand, and it's a great conversation starters, because people, when they meet you, and even if you don't want to have that conversation, you know, it starts the conversation.
It does. And you know, people look at me strangely when I say I'm an introvert. They're like, what? You're walking around with these bold glasses.
Yeah, big crowns.
These big crowns. How can you be an introvert? But the truth is, like I said, the crowns bring me joy. That's the other part of it. And especially being an entrepreneur, you have your mountaintop moments. You have your valley moments. You have those times of just so much joy. And then there are days that I'm like, girl, what are you doing? Why don't you hang up your shingle and go to McDonald's and see if there is a bin of fries that you can help salt? And so, or, you know, those days when it gets hard, and I walk by a mirror and I say, you know, you have this crown on. You have this calling. You have this work you need to do. Keep doing it. And so the crown, like I said, it serves as a way to remind me of so many different things. And even when I'm out, even though I am an introvert, I love people. I love meeting people. I love talking to people. And I love talking to people in intimate settings. And so what the crown does, like I said, it provides me those opportunities. You will be surprised the number of motivational speeches I have done right in the aisle of the grocery store.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah, it's so because of that, because I never know when I'll have an opportunity to share my story or say something that may help positively impact someone else's day. And so to that extent, yes, I do enjoy wearing the crowns. Yes, I'm somewhat of an introvert. But the other thing too is that the crown encourages and serves as a blessing to others. And so I see it as a great opportunity, and it's something that I enjoy.
I love it for you. I really do. I feel like, you know, anytime I see the crown, whether you're in a crowd or on social media or anything, I know it's you. So, you know,
it's me. Yeah. And as a matter of fact, where was I? I think I was in the post office the other day, and it was an elderly gentleman, and he approached me and he said, well, is it your birthday? And I said, no. And this is the response I give.
Wow.
I wear a crown every day as a way to celebrate life and as a way to remind me of, you don't need a special occasion to celebrate and be thankful. Just another day that I am breathing and able to walk is a day to celebrate. And he said, oh, I love that. That's it. I might start wearing a crown. I said, well, why can't you wear one? Yeah. So, you know, and I got a chuckle out of him. And, you know, so it's those exchanges like that are just so meaningful and powerful.
Yeah. Ah, that's amazing. I feel like you're onto something. You're starting something. I wouldn't be
Hey,
surprised if people start wearing a car, or at least leaning into what makes them authentic and being open
that's it.
to share it with the world. So, and which is what it's about, right? We want to share ourselves, our true self with the world.
Our true selves, because we all have unique qualities and characteristics. We all have unique skills and talents to bring to the world. And oftentimes we allow fear or what we assume people may think about us hold us back.
Yep.
And like I said, the crown has been a game changer for me, because even as a small business owner, we are sometimes afraid, and I say we because I know that's the majority of your audience. So hopefully I'm speaking to someone who's out
I
there.
raised my hand earlier, like I can totally relate. So
Yes. We are so afraid to try something new. We second guess ourselves. We question things. We're afraid others may think, oh, that's so weird. Why are you doing that? And what I have, this is who I've always been since I've been a child. I recognize that I'm unique. I am different. I recognize that I have been placed on this planet for a specific purpose. And I'm very fortunate in that I have been surrounded by a great family. I have strong women in my family, very supportive men in my family as well. And even as a child, I was encouraged to celebrate my uniqueness. I'm named after my great grandmother who lived to be 100. She was one generation removed from slavery, owned land, had, a farm and all these other type things, and was just so industrious. And she would always tell me, just how unique and special I was. And I believed her.
Yeah.
My great grandmother tell me something that wasn't true.
Right.
And the same is true for my grandmother, who really inspires my business. I keep her picture above my shoulder. In the 60s, in Louisville, Kentucky, she owned a business. She had her own restaurant. That's something that's so unheard of, and it was successful. And so, having those examples of be unique, stand out, pursue your dreams, regardless of fill in the blank. So, and that's something that more of us need to embody, that not try to be like someone else or copy what someone else is doing, but to really speak in your own voice and to lean in what makes you unique.
I love that. And I want to get into, visioning and coaching, but I want to ask a question about this, and this might very well lead into that. Why do you think people are afraid to be themselves, their unique selves? Because I really feel like when you're trying to, it's really like, so if you have a vision, but you're not able to be your unique self, it's going to be very difficult to, first of all, have a vision, let alone try to achieve that vision. So what do you think are some of the things that may be causing people to be afraid to even dare to dream or have a vision?
Yeah. So you already touched on it with one of the words you said, afraid and fear. As people, everyone wants to be successful, especially with what we see on social media, all the likes and the repost and all of those type things. No one wants to be perceived as a failure or making mistakes or not knowing what they're talking about, specifically when you're in business, because you're considered to be a subject matter expert. And so oftentimes I think what may happen is people may be so fearful of what people may think or how things may look, and they'll second guess themselves because they feel like, I have to have all the answers. I have to know everything right now. I have to have it all figured out from A to Z and from Z back to A before I can release it. And, something that I have practiced, part of this comes from my background in continuous improvement. And I even, you probably hear me say this a lot, I have this on a magnet that I give to clients. It's progress over perfection. And so going back to what you mentioned with the vision, it starts out with the vision, really sitting and thinking about where do you see yourself as this business owner, as this leader? Where do you see your business in the future? And really sitting with that vision to where it feels real. Once you have that type of clarity on that dream and vision or what it is you want to accomplish, well, the second part is to take a step back and ask, what's the smallest step I can take to get closer to that vision?
Right.
What do I need to try? What do I need to experiment? What do I need to test? And realize that whatever it is you do, I really don't believe in such a thing as failure. Because with whatever it is we do, we're like scientists, we're running an experiment.
Yeah.
So if whatever it is that we work to achieve, if it does not happen the way we planned, yay. Because oftentimes from that, when things don't go as planned, that's when we have our greatest learning. And then we take what we learn and we build on that and we try something else. I don't know about you, but I know personally, some of the greatest advances I've had with my business is when I planned something and it didn't go as planned. When you schedule that workshop, and I'm speaking, this is the truth. Last fall, I did this huge media campaign, even paid for some Facebook ads for this workshop I wanted to conduct. I had one person who registered for it.
Wow.
And so, it was a workshop designed for, I think I had it set up for maybe 60 people to attend. I had one person who registered. And so I reached out to her, I responded to her and I said, we did not get the expected registration numbers that we had hoped. We won't be doing the workshop at this time, but this is what we were going to cover. And then I thought, well, let me test something. I said, if you want, I can do the workshop with you one-on-one.
Wow.
And she said, I love that. What I discovered is because we were talking about visioning, and we were talking about visioning in such a way that required so much deep reflection and thought. At the end of the session, she said to me, she said, don't take this the wrong way. I'm so happy no one else registered. She said, because I would not have been as transparent and reflective in a group as I was one-on-one with you. She talked about how safe she felt, how comfortable she felt to be vulnerable, and to go into more detail in clarifying her vision. As a result of that, I redesigned that content to where I do them individually. And then that is what took me down the path of further exploring individual coaching. But because before that, I was doing group coaching, still do that, but I see the impact of doing that individual coaching. I may not have discovered that as quickly as I had it not been for something that didn't go as I expected.
That's a powerful statement. I mean, story. And, I was thinking when you started that and your goal was to get 60 and then one showed up, my immediate thought was like, oh my God, what about all the money, all the efforts, all the planning and everything? Like, I can tell you that I will truly feel like I failed. That's, my story. Like I would, because I hate the word, because you've also even said progress over perfection. I feel like, I know. I'm like, I like the details. It's, but I find that whenever I'm so stuck in that details, it stops me from moving forward, so, but that's really, I hope that really helps someone, because there's a learning, isn't it, Albert Einstein that, tried to create the light bulb and he tried over, 999 times before he finally, so there's something to be said for trying and failing, but keep on going.
Oh, yes. And that's part of the name of my consulting firm is On to the Next One Consulting.
Yes.
Part of that is what that means is, yes, have these huge aspirational visions. Step back and understand where are you currently, what's the first smallest step you can take. Keep taking those steps. determining what it is you learn from them, and that guides the next step. But no matter what, don't give up, keep moving on to the next one. The other part of that story, as a result of that workshop not happening, I went back and thought about, because, from working more with not-for-profit clients, I thought, well, I would like to do a workshop specifically for not-for-profits. And I did another campaign. There was another workshop I was going to do specifically for not-for-profits. No one registered for that. So yes, didn't spend as much on the marketing. But I stepped back. I was like, well, what does I need to learn from that? Fast forward, there was a continuous improvement conference that I'm regularly a part of that was taking place in Indianapolis this year. One of my good friends who also practices the Toyota Kata, which is a framework of how to use continuous improvement, how to, develop a new skill, develop a new a new behavior as a result of following a pattern. So a good friend, Thilo Schwartz out of Germany, and one of my coaches, Tracy Defoe, who is based in Canada, we decided we wanted to collaborate and do this workshop. And so it started out being really broad. We wanted to introduce this framework of how to do things to not-for-profits. But then as Thilo and I kept talking, I kept narrowing the scope to where it was focusing on women and girls serving not-for-profits. And part of that came from work that I have been doing, like I said, in that space.
Right.
I had the idea of, well, let me call on my good friend, great pillar in the community, Tamara Winfrey Harris, president of Women's Fund. I came to her with this idea, and just so happened that connected with some programming that the Women's Fund is doing. So I asked, possibly would Women's Fund be willing to be a sponsor? Because the people who are invited to this, I want to reduce every barrier to entry. I don't want them to be worried about a registration fee. I want them to have a nice meal, because it was going to be early in the morning. We were going to have these really nice handouts. She said, absolutely. So Women's Fund kindly sponsored the event. 40 leaders of women and girls serving not-for-profits came to this event, and it was packed.
Wow.
Okay. Out of that, the feedback was there were people who were trying to get clarity on a vision, or they had something in their strategic plan, something that they were stuck and they needed help moving forward. There was a need for executive coaching. All these needs were addressed within this workshop, and it was a huge success. But had I not had that first failure with the first time I tried to do the workshop that led me to do an individual coaching, had I not had that second failure where it was just a broad call to all not-for-profits, and then brought in some other people to collaborate and brainstorm, that turned into a huge success. And I'm still running into people, hearing from people talking about how that workshop made a difference. And some of that even led to an opportunity for me to do workshops with those organizations and to coach some executive leaders and make an impact. So you never know how something is going to turn out, but when you have clarity on that vision, especially if that vision is about investing in people and helping people reach their dreams, it will ultimately work out.
Wow, I love this. So as you were talking, I was thinking, one, you have to have a strategic vision of where you want to go so you can know what to, this is where we're going. And then two, you have to be willing to fail, but also do some continuous improvement. Even if you failed, like, what can I learn from it and continue to grow? And then three, you mentioned coaching too, be coachable. It's always good when you have someone, walking the walk alongside of you, trying to help you figure all of this out. So I want to start from a small business owner, female entrepreneur, because I'm one of them. And I'm at the point where I want to try and do some of these things that you've kind of laid out. Where do I start with what does that even mean, having a strategic vision?
So, people talk about another way that people refer to it is strategic planning. I call it strategic visioning because that comes from work that I do with guiding people on developing strategic vision boards. It's so important that not only do you have the vision in your mind, but our subconscious mind believes what we tell it.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
so having things in an image or these affirmations and things in front of you daily, that helps to reinforce the vision.
Mm.
But, it all starts out with, especially as a small business owner, defining your vision, understanding the why. You went into business for a reason. What's the why behind that? What's the ultimate destination where you see your business
Right.
and the impact that it will have? So it starts out with defining that vision. And then from there, you really need to get specific on, what are the key priorities? What is it you want to focus on? I know when I started out, I was like, well, I can be all things to all people because I have a background in HR. I've worked in corporate America. I've been a global Lean Six Sigma director. I've been a bank branching manager. I've been an IT project lead. I've worked in
over 20
retail.
years of experience.
I have over 20. I've done it all. So I can be all things to all people. No. You really need to identify, what are the key priorities? What are your key areas of focus? And then continue to break things down and break them down into measurable goals so that as it relates to where it is I'm trying to go, am I getting close? Am I on track? Am I a little bit behind? Because then that helps, having those measurable goals helps you to really determine the deadlines and what you need to do next and your next steps and things like that. The other thing too is realizing that, and I tell my clients this even when we're doing strategic planning, you don't develop this strategic plan and set it on the shelf and think that, oh, I've done the plan, it's just going to figure itself out. Right. You regularly have to review. For one, celebrate progress you've made. We don't do that enough. But review and determine, well, what adjustments do I need to make? What do I need to revisit or what have you? And then you continue to celebrate milestones, no matter how small they are. We get so focused on what we're trying to do next. It's so important that we periodically stop and look at how far we've come and really assess what it is we've learned and keep moving forward. And then realizing that is a continuous cycle, that we continue to go through those steps. And it's even more helpful when you're not doing that alone. I talk about a coach. I do executive coaching. I also have a coach. Right. For the key aspects of my business where I've been stuck or where I'm struggling a little bit, I have mentors who are already successful in what it is that I'm trying to achieve. Right. And it's mutually beneficial. I don't just get information from them wherever I can. I offer and help them with information. Right. And then I also have coaches to walk alongside me and guide me through that. So it's so important that you have that vision. And then as small business owners, especially, or solopreneurs, when it's just the one person, you can feel like it's me against the world. It doesn't necessarily have to be. Right. Be a part of those communities, those professional organizations, have a coach, have a mentor, so that you can share, what it is you're learning, what it is you're experiencing on the journey.
Yeah. So as you were talking about that, I was thinking about, the fear of wasting the time or when we talk about failure, right? Like you said, failure is a good thing, it's an opportunity to learn, right? I immediately even thought about how much time wasted, how much effort and money and things wasted. But it sounds like when you have a vision, it would, in a way, reduce the amount of wasted efforts and in money and all the things, because you have a clear path, something that you're aiming towards. They say that if you don't know where you're going, how do you even know when you get there, or how to get there? So I totally agree with that. And I actually just had a speaking opportunity to talk to people about building their personal brand. And before I started that conversation, and I thought about this for so long, I said, I feel like a lot of people know a lot about building your personal brand. Like, they know what a brand is, they know, they talk about the colors and all the things. But so I wanted to have that conversation in a different way. So I had them close their eyes, do a couple of deep breaths, and I said, close your eyes and imagine your dream brand. Just take the limits off of you and imagine where you see your brand, your personal brand, your business brand in the next 1, maybe 3 or 5 years, and just, see what that looks like, that feels like to you. What do you want people to say about your business? Well, how do you want people to feel about that? Because when you have that vision in mind, I feel personally in my experience that you step different, you show up different because you know where you're going, and so I feel like it's kind of similar. And I'm glad that you're saying this, because when I was thinking about that, doing in that conversation and that presentation, I was really thinking about how I did, how I built my own brand. So to hear that, like you do all of this work to even help people in that area, but also in a bigger, area in their leadership, in their business, that's like, it's comforting, it's like confirmation that this works, because it works, It
works. Yeah. And you said it's comforting, and it's so, I love that you say that. People, as a result of, even before I started wearing the crowns, because the other thing too, I know you picked up on this, the glasses.
Yes.
I have just as many pairs of glasses as I do crowns. One, love glasses. Yes. And the other part too, the importance about the vision, just really having that clear vision. And so when I work with clients and we're talking through some of these things, especially executive leaders, they will say that I am the queen of safe spaces, or the clarity confidant. And part of that is just like what you're talking about, really sitting with a vision and really taking time to think about where they want to be. I do a similar exercise where I'll say, close your eyes, pretend that you're in a time machine, and I'll fast forward the date into the future. I said, when you step out of the time machine and thinking about this vision, now let's make it real. What do you see when you log on for the day? What does your calendar look like? What's in your email? What exciting things are happening? To your point, when you are, and this is what I share, when you are so clear on that vision turns into your mission.
Yes.
It's your core values. It's your guiding principles. Having that type of clarity makes the yeses so clear and the no's even more clear.
Yeah.
Before you started the recording, one of the things that I need to follow up with you on is you're doing my speaker reel.
Yeah.
And I could just throw together, a speaker reel and having, here's where I did this. However, I have such a clear vision of what that speaker reel is, not for me, but what I want to communicate to the people who I want to walk alongside, who I want to help and support. And so because I have that vision, I, and not leaving out the progress over perfection.
Right.
There are some different things that I'm testing so that when we do that speaker reel, it's valuable for you, it's valuable for me. And then another thing that I want to say about branding that's so important, I will never forget our photo shoot. And this is why it's so important that you are coachable, that you realize that you have more to learn and that you seek the advice of others. I remember coming into the photo shoot. Remember, I had my photo list already. I had my wardrobe laid out. On one of our calls, I showed you this dress that had all these colors and shapes and all this. And I was like, it's such a cute dress. And you were like, let's think about your brand and the message you want to convey. Are you wanting the people to focus on the dress or what it is that you do? And I was like, I hadn't thought about that. And I followed your advice. And the photos that you did for me far exceeded my expectations. And I'm sure you see them all the time on my social media because I use them for everything. I would not have been able to be so flexible with how I use those had I not followed your guidance.
Yeah, thank you for saying.
It's true. I feel like I kind of jumped all around and went all around the topic on having a clear vision, but you have a clear vision, and where I'm getting at, even the people you work with, I know you have a clear vision about branding and marketing and images, and that's why I trust your judgment. to help make my brand even better.
Right. Thank you. I almost wanted to jump off my seat when you started this conversation, this part of the conversation, because I feel like when you have that clear vision, opportunities begin to open for you. You begin to see opportunities. So when I first started my business the first year, I did the same exercise and I imagined myself, the gala was supposed to be the finale of this. And I imagined women walking through the doorways and what the doorway would look like and the colors and how everybody was looking so beautiful and the number, like how they filled the room. And at that point, I hadn't photographed one person. I haven't even started telling people that I wanted to do this boss ladies thing at the time. And fast forward to when the year, when we did the gala, oh, my heart was so full. Like what I didn't even see happened, like beyond what first of all, I felt like I was walking into spaces before that, talking to people about this vision, and they could, I guess the energy or the excitement with which I speak about it, people saw that and they were like, let's do this. Yeah. And opportunities was opening for me. Before that, I was very nervous about talking to people about photography, but it helped me be even more bold. And I felt like as I went along, my vision became clearer. So thank you so much for, again, validating that. But I want to, talk a little bit about the process improvement part of it, because I think that, you said earlier that some people think you have the vision and you can just set it up and no, you can't do that. But the part of things that people, I feel like we don't do enough of, and we really need to be doing more of, is that evaluating the data and finding ways to, improve. We don't, as small business owners, I feel, even me included, I don't think that I look at the data, even like something as small as your posts. You mentioned before we started, you talked about how, when you speak about your faith, you see improvements even in your following. But the way you know that is because, again, this is your area of expertise. You're always about continuous improvement anyway, but it's natural for you to look at the data and see what the data tells you. So tell us a little bit about how small business owners, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs can, really look at the data and what should they be looking at and how they can continue to improve.
Sure. So, as again, starting with that vision, having those clear objectives of what it is that you want to accomplish. And I know we've heard of SMART goals, yes. Making sure that those objectives are specific, that it is something you can measure. The other thing too is that they're achievable, because oftentimes we can get overwhelmed thinking about all of the things that must be done. Right. They need to be realistic, and they need to have a time frame around them so that you're regularly checking. Two areas that I think is so important that we closely monitor begins with the finances.
True.
And from day one, I'm fortunate. One of my mentors, who is a CFO, helped me set up everything financially for my business. So day one, I was in QuickBooks. QuickBooks, there's all kind of reports you can run, all kind of data you can look at. And full transparency, even as recent as this year, I was having cash flow challenges. I was like, this isn't making sense. And so I specifically started working with a coach around that. From that, what I uncovered by looking at the data is there was opportunity to better categorize the services that I offer so that I could track and really see what is it that clients saw most valuable and more meaningful, and focus on that and use that to guide, when I'm out networking and talking, or even the social media content. And so, most people, there has to be having that foundation, because then that you build on that, and that's how the other things develop, especially as it relates to marketing. Right. With that, social media, love it. At the same time, social media can be so fickle.
Yes.
I have a YouTube channel. I'm on LinkedIn,
Facebook.
I have a Facebook personal that's public. I have a Facebook business, Instagram. A Twitter account exists. I have not been active on that for a number of reasons. I'm not going to get into all that. But anyway, back to the lecture at hand. And I'll I'll see some posts that I think, oh my goodness, this is a post. I'm really dropping some nuggets. People are going to get excited. 1 like,
Crickets.
3 views, crickets. And then I see people and they're like, I follow your social media. I find this to be so uplifting. Or someone will reach out to me. I saw this video you did. I was like, you did? I had no idea. So, you know, and looking at the algorithms and looking at the reports in terms of engagement, yes, it's important. I look at that data to see what topics am I talking about that are really having an impact. Because the purpose of my social media, I see that as a way to get out information, to educate people and help people. And so I look at what are the topics that people are paying attention to. And even the videos, you know, if it's the case, I did a 4-minute video, I look at what the trends are on YouTube to see which section they pay the most attention to. What was I talking about? How can I develop more content? Now, every once in a while, I'll do something that's fun. So like Bridgerton, I did a series on Bridgerton for leadership points because I'm such a huge Bridgerton fan. That did not get a lot of traction. Some of the posts got more than others, but that was fun for me. And it was a creative way to get out information about leadership. But it's really important
to show your brand too, some of the things that makes you, the things that you love.
Absolutely. But the point is, you know, it starts with just really understanding in terms of ultimately where you want to go, and then look at what the data is telling you that will guide you to what you need to focus on. And typically it's something around finances, around operations, operational efficiency, and the services, because we're in business to provide a service or a product to a client, and we want them to have a great client experience. And so looking at data for all of that really will help us to guide what's the next thing I need to test, what's the next thing I need to experiment, what's the next thing I need to try.
Yeah, I love the word test. When you said test, like, I think we have to constantly say, you know, test things, you know. A lot of times I remember my coach, because I have a coach too.
Very good.
She was talking about how, you know, sometimes when if you're doing a marketing campaign, for instance, and let's say it didn't work out for whatever reason the first time. Okay, I'll give you a very specific question. You send an email to someone and they did not respond. Well, and so if you abandon that, because I've done that in the past, I'm like, oh, nobody really wants it. Well, you really need to look at, kind of almost peel, you know, up peel back the onions to kind of see, you know, what really went wrong. Could it be that they are busy and they couldn't reach out to you at that time, or that's why they didn't respond? Or should I have maybe followed up in another email, followed up in maybe a phone call or a text message? You know, like, you have to try and test different things to reach the people you're trying to reach, and not just give up because I sent one email. And a lot of times, because we put a lot of effort into that one thing, we immediately give up. So when she said that to me over the summer, I was like, okay, I cannot just, you know, I have to be willing to try different ways of reaching people, and I cannot immediately conclude that, oh, they're not interested in this service because they didn't, you know, respond to me. Like, I just have to find, life happens to everybody. There's so many. My phone right now has multiple text messages that I've not even responded to. It's not for the lack of interest. It's just something happening. So I'm beginning to find more value when people follow up. You know, so again, just to go back to the whole word testing, I think it's really important, you know, testing, evaluating, and not giving up at the first time when things it's not going the way you think it's, you know, supposed to go. But speaking of coaches, I know you are a coach, and you strongly recommend having coaches, which I do too. And I feel like it puts you several years in, you know, ahead, you know. So tell us a little bit about why it's important to have a coach.
Yes, sure. So it's so important to have a coach, because oftentimes that coach has been where you're wanting to go as it relates to a specific area of specialty. The other thing about a coach is, for the coach, it's not about them, it's for the person they're coaching. And oftentimes, whatever it is, it's already in us. we have the answers within, but we can get so overwhelmed with the day-to-day and feeling like we have to have everything done all at once. And so one of the things that makes coaching so impactful, especially for executive leaders, when I was in HR, one of the highest levels of leadership I was in as an HR position, I was a vice president of human resources within an organization. And then what I found from colleagues in that space, when you're at a senior level of HR, a question I often ask, who is HR for HR? And for executive leaders, who is it that executive leaders can talk to and can confide in when they may have a board of directors that they have to report to, and they have a team, and they have other people who are looking to them for all the answers. And as they need to process things and do that reflection and talk about how maybe something they planned didn't go as expected, or they are excited about something, they have some big, huge aspirational opportunity that's in front of them that may have come out in the strategic plan, and they have all these exciting opportunities and just trying to figure out, what do I focus on right now? And so what that coach and coaching opportunities help us to do, I often tell this to my clients, it's an opportunity to slow down so that you can speed up. Taking that time to reflect, to really think things through, to think about what you've recently learned, what it is you want to try next. And it's so important to have that. And like I said, even if it's the case that it's not a coach, it's a mentor, it's someone within your circle of influence who you trust, who you know will have your best interest at heart, that you can process these things with. That really makes a difference. And, and with coaching, some people assume, oh, I have to do these really long coaching sessions. Even a 30-minute coaching session where you're really focused and in tuned with what it is you want to accomplish, and being able to talk through that can make such a huge difference.
That's so good. Yeah. As you were speaking, I think, and I've heard this before, but at the end of the day, we really need to treat this as a journey. Like going to your vision and all the little steps you need to take, and the process improvements, and the guides to help you through that whole process. If we can change our mind to see this as a journey, then it's be okay to take a moment to pause, like you said, so that you can speed up. Because again, I'm the kind of person, I'm very result oriented. I'm like, let's do it, But again, if you don't pause to see what do I need to do, what are my goals, what do I need to be spending my time, 30 minutes here, 15 minutes here, then it's really all a waste. So I love this conversation. I feel like it's opened up a lot for me even. So, wow. So then in closing, let's see.
Yes.
What do you like, someone is listening to this and they're like, okay, I get it. I have to have a vision, and I have to be open to making mistakes, and look at my data to improve. And I need to have a coach to help me see, the bits and pieces that I may not, see. Where do I start? What do I really need to do right now to start implementing some of this?
Okay. So where you need to start right now, it begins with mindset. And like we've been talking about, recognizing this is a journey. Part of recognizing that it's a journey is enjoying the journey. That on that journey, when you have those mountains, when you have the valley, when you run into a puddle, you have rainy days, you have days that are cloudy or filled with, the bright sunshine, that it is a journey, and all of it is part of the process. And really embracing those opportunities for learning, no matter where you are in the journey, for the highs and the lows. The big picture is really clarifying the vision, honing in on your why, taking some time to really sit and think about that. If you have a vision and mission statement, go back and revisit it. If you don't have one, take the time to really sit and develop one. and think about, what ultimately it is, where it is you're trying to go long term. What is your destination for this journey?
Right.
And following with that whole journey analogy, understanding your destination, taking a step back and identifying, where am I right now? Where is my current state? Where am I on this journey in relation to where I want to be? And don't look at that as, oh, I should be further along. I should be further along on my diversity, equity, and inclusion strategies within my organization. Or, oh, my business plan, I can't believe I don't have a business plan developed. Don't add that additional burden or stress to yourself. Life will do that on its own.
Right.
Give yourself grace. Look at your current state of where you are in relation to where you want to go. Identify that first small step you can take to experiment, to test, to explore. It may be, that first step may be developing a list of questions. That first step may be, I need to identify a coach. But identify the first smallest step you can take. Keep in mind progress over perfection, and then keep moving on to the next one.
I love it. I love this. This is so good. So for those people that are out there thinking, I need help, I need a coach, I need someone to help me clarify my vision, help me through the whole process of process improvement, how can we reach you? How can we contact you?
Okay, so I'm so accessible. One of the things that clients say,
look for the crown on social media.
Look for the crown when I'm out. I wear the crown everywhere. Look for the crown. My website, Deondra Wardell, Deondra, Deondra Wardell, Wardelle. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. But look for Deondra Wardell on YouTube, is LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, but it begins with my website. On my website has all of my contact information, and there's even a place where you can schedule that clarity or discovery call with me. Have a 30-minute call to understand, what it is that you're working towards, and how it is on to the next one. Consulting can help you with that.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. So I wanted to repeat this, that you offer a free consultation. So I will put all the content, all the links and everywhere to find Deondra in the links, in the comments. You already know where to get all of this. So, and if you need to contact me, and I'll make sure you get all of that, but you really need to get in touch with her. If you already, like she said, if you have a vision or mission statement already written, go back and revisit it, because it is a journey, and a journey of 1,000 steps always starts with that one first step. So you got this. And I am looking forward to celebrating a lot of the goodness. Yes, progress over perfection. So share with us some of the progress, some of the things that you've done after hearing this. We want to hear from you. I'm sure Deondra would be happy to hear this, because it's really good feedback for us too. Because again, I'm learning into this whole process improvement. How can we improve this thing? So that helps to have the data. So part of that is hearing from you, your comments, your engagement, to kind of see what should we be doing differently, and I encourage you to do that with your audience too. So until the next episode, keep moving, and on to the next one.